Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the power creep with amulets in Wallaroo. Now, it's not just amulets per se that did get power creep by a lot. Decks are one of those things as well, because we finally got introduced to circle sockets on decks, right? That changes a lot. Of course, for PvP players, they'll probably have their own opinion on this, but I kind of want to just think about this as a whole, not just so PvP. I kind of want to think about this like for PvE and other scenarios. But I mean, the stat caps are always going to be affected by the gear, so I wouldn't think too much of it. But it's interesting that we did see amulets get changed quite a lot over the time. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that and give you guys my opinions and thoughts regarding that. So if you do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Join the Discord if you guys haven't. We're at like 630 members, insane amount of people that are in the Discord. I appreciate all you guys, and we would always love to have more in the Discord. But let's talk about amulets. So I remember when we used to switch between Flygob and Dragoon, like literally like almost all the time. Of course, depending on your school, people would switch to certain ones, right? Like I know at one point I did use this on my Storm. Do I use this anymore? No. I stopped using this like a long time ago. But it's crazy to think that a lot of people did use Shane Von Shane for a while as well. And even with the square sockets now, you can put 500 or whatever HP. If we like quickly looked at one of my themes, yeah, you can get like 500 HP, socket it on. So I mean, I can still use the Flygob if I really wanted to. I can have an extra 1000 HP. But I mean, hey, I mean, do I need the 1000? Not really. But if we're comparing it to like the new Reaver stuff, you can see what I mean by power creep. Now, if you think about it, Reaver is just Shane Von Shane, but better. And I've been saying this for a while now, but people just still didn't understand. If you look, it has more res, and yes, I do lose the universal pierce. That is correct. But if I'm just focusing on my main school, I'm not really dual schooling, because you know, this is just universal pierce, while this I can just get pierce from around school. If I just socket on 6 pierce, I'm literally getting 2% extra more pierce. If you look at the health, I'm getting more health. And yes, I do lose 35 crit rating, but in my opinion, do I really need that much crit? Not really. For regular PV content, not really. So I don't mind losing this crit for some block and P-serve. Granted, I'm not going to really care about pip conserve, because the fact is, why would I care about pip conserve if I'm going to kill anyways? That's just how I think about it. And then block is always just good to have, but I mean, hey, it's like the same thing as crit. Does it really affect me that much if I'm just going to go for a round 1 kill or round 2 kill? Not really. But the sockets is what changes it, because the fact is I can socket on 16 accuracy. I can socket on an item card on this. So there's some other things that you can consider. And if you think about it, I'm getting a blade if we're comparing about the item cards. Yes, I get an aura from here and a shadow shield. But when's the last time you've seen somebody be like, okay, I need a shadow shield? And I think the only time I've heard a person say shadow shield is Lightbane, right? But that's so niche because like you can just do the cheese, right? I'm gonna be honest, you don't really get hit, so shadow shields aren't really a thing. It's like a thing of a past. And of course, the blade on here is just more beneficial. Now, of course, we had the what's it called, OG Morgantha amulet that existed back in the day. If you have this, I mean, of course, not many people have this unless like you kept it from back when this was dropped. But this does not drop anymore. And what it used to do is, if we compare it, it was literally Shane Von Shane before Shane Von Shane, essentially. If you look at the HP, you can see that this gives less HP, gives less pierce. I lose 5 crit rating, but I do gain block. I lose less res, but I do get a tier socket and a square socket, and it did give me the blade. So there were people who did still use this, because the fact is they really wanted that extra blade. Now for like solo questing, I can understand, because hey, stackability, why not? And you get 2 copies, which was still pretty good. So just seeing the evolution of what the amulets have been, if you think about it, we went from this, and then we had Dragoon at one point, and then we had Flygob, which is the Chain 1 Chain Amulet. And then of course now we're at the point where we have Reaver. And of course we do have Hun Hao stuff. I do have a screenshot of it, kind of blurry, but I haven't bothered crafting any of the amulets. And people did talk about this in my video, saying why don't I use Hun Hao over using, for example, Reaver. But the thing is with the Reaver is that it gives a school specific blade, while Hun Hao and Shababa Amulet, if you look carefully, it gives a star blade, I believe, or depending on your school, it'll give you like a blade. And I prefer the other blade, because why would I waste a pip when I can just use a 0 pip blade for 2 extra res, but it doesn't really matter if I'm just gonna go for kills anyways. That's just how I think about it. If I really need the 2 extra res that's detrimental, then I mean, yeah, I'll switch over to Hun Hao and Shababa, but I still prefer the blade. It's just personal preference. But yes, these amulets do exist. You get them from the raid. Like, I think I have some, but I just don't have them upgraded. So if we go quickly to my backpack butler, even though like I'm pretty sure my stuff is a mess at the moment. If we quickly, I see like I have the Shababa stuff, but it's not 170. Some people already upgraded to 170, and there's been some screenshots of people using them. But I still prefer, you know, the other stuff. Like this is the 160. Seeing this big of a difference from jumping from that to this even loses the storm owl. It gains the blade and everything, and it loses the tier socket and gets a circle socket and a triangle socket. But I mean, it's up to par with, of course, Reaver and everything like that. So that's one thing that you have to consider. Now, even with Dragoon, as we speak briefly upon it, a lot of people use Dragoon for the AoEs. There were so many people who used it for the AoE. People were using it in raids, of course. So many people were like loving this Dragoon AoE. And people said that no one's going to use them anymore. The one school that I can still see it being used, me personally, is Fire. Now, the other schools, it's kind of subjective. You can use it if you want to, whatever. Am I going to be using it on any other school? No. I had this Dragoon Amulet already on my Storm because that's when I was farming a crap ton. And I wanted to get one for every school. Now, the Fire one I can only see being useful because if there is some fights in the game where I have to hit multiple times, and it's very useful. And Dragoon, since it's already basically enchanted and stuff like that, it's still better than the school pip stuff. Here we have right here, where is it, like Bunyip's Rage? Yes, Bunyip is still good. Like if you enchant it, it does 925, right? But if I do need to hit multiple times, even though Dragoon is less, right, it's 200 less, I can use this twice. I can't really use Bunyip twice without waiting an extra couple rounds, right? So that's why Dragoon is still good. But I'd say specifically only on Fire. Just because the fact is you're mainly hitting with Fire hitters all the time now. Storm, don't get me wrong, as much as I love Storm, you know, you guys know that Storm is like my main character. Of course, I have like all my builds on my Storm. But I still would not use the Dragoon Amulet on my Storm. Right, I rather use Reaver. I like the stats that I can get from it. I like using the blade as well. There's times where I actually do use that blade for stackability purposes. If we're comparing it to, like I said, Hun Hao and Shababa, I'm not going to use that star blade. Even though I get extra res and extra pip conserve, whatever, that I don't really care about, the fact that I get that blade to me is just better, right? And it's not like I lose anything else that's like offense. The offense is still the same. It's just the defense gets increased by a little bit. And I would still prefer Reaver. Still. I really like the item cards. I feel like the item cards is what's going to be carrying it for me personally. Even with the decks. I think if we quickly look over one of the decks I do have, if we go back to Backpack Butler, it's like the same scenario where if we look at the Hun Hao deck, even though it does give certain item cards, or even the Shababa deck, right, if we quickly go over here, I really like the Shababa deck because the fact is it gives a Dragon Blade. Now, the only sucky thing is with the Shababa deck, they got rid of the item card on the Dragon Blade, so the Dragon Blade does not exist on the 170 version. It's similar to what they did with Void. Like if you look at Void, where like it gives a fuel, right, the 150 variant for any school, I think, yeah, for any school except Balance, I believe. They like chalked it, and then on the 160 variant it gives you lightning bats. I really wish this fuel can come back and in some sort of way, or if they had options where you know, if you don't care about the item card, like, you know, lightning bats, let me still keep my fuel, right? Like I still think that would be nice. But I hope to see more decks like that in the future, where they give a blade that's like a dragon blade, or having a storm fuel, something like that, where it's like stackability purposes. I really like that option, and I hope to see that more in the future. But it's the same thing with the amulets. Are we ever gonna see Dragoon return, like these item cards, like these squalls and all these other spells that were on here for the Dragoon amulets? I highly doubt it, right? I think we all know how busted these were, and they're busted to the point where they had to PvP ban them. So that meaning that we couldn't use this in advanced combat either, because people were using these in the raid, of course, and they did not want to see that again. So that's why they got banned. But I mean, there's other things that people do use, but it requires a socket. Of course, the Morgan tool that people used to use, I think probably still have it somewhere. If I had to take a guess, I doubt it though, who knows. No, it's somewhere else. But I do have like the Morgan tools. Those are still good to just use, because you know it's still an AoE and people use it in the raid at times. Not the Azteca raid, but people use it in the Dragonspire raid, which people still want to get the gear, right? Because nullity is still good. Even with Nightmare Dungeon coming out, I'm still going to be using nullity robe, which is crazy how long nullity robe has been carrying. I think that's really nice for sure. But there will be a day that nullity robe gets power crept, or they might just bring back this template and it becomes a 170 variant. Who knows, right? And then that's the time where I'm like, okay, I gotta go get another robe. But it's like that with the amulets. It's just that over time things get changed, right? We went, like I said, we went from this to Dragoon to still people using Flygob, and then now we're back at Reaver. You know, we're at this state where we can just sock it on Pierce, right, on an amulet. Like, we didn't see that was going to happen anytime soon, and with Waller that happened. Same thing with the decks. Like I said, we were able to sock it on damage, we were able to sock it on Pierce. So it's nice to see that. But I know some people are going to be like, oh well, I missed the other amulets. I mean, it happens, right? You can still use them. It's not like they're like completely doo-doo or anything like that. Like, you can still use them, but I like, it's just, Reaver is just better in my opinion. Till we see new amulets for the time being, I still think Dream Reaver is still better than, like I said, like Hun Hao. Even though Hun Hao's 170 amulets, I still prefer them. Of course, PvP, completely separate topic. Go use Hun Hao. Like, actually go use Hun Hao, because I think it's just better. Same thing with the Shababa ones. I think people said that they prefer using that too. But I think the Hun Hao ones are better for PvP from what it seems like, because they give a dissipate, or they give it like a dispel depending on your school. So there's that. But that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the small little video, me talking about the amulets and power creep, right? It's bound to happen, right? And gear's always going to be changing, and to me, I kind of like that, right? But it's just the item cards that I prefer a little bit more. If the item card is not that great and I prefer damage, then of course I'm gonna choose damage over the item card. And still, this is just such a good amulet. It's really good. Just seeing that everyone farmed Flygob just for it to get power creeped, that's just jokes. But it's the end of the day for Shane Von Shane. You can still use it though, like I said, for dual schooling purposes, because it does give 4 universal res, 4 universal pierce, I mean. So it's still good for that part. Compared to, like, you are losing 2 resist or 2 pierce, but you're getting it for both schools. So I can still see some people using this for that purpose. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, mainly you're gonna see Reaver though. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and see a little insight into all the amulets that we've gone through. Of course, it's not like they're all bad, but you can still use them, of course. So there's that. But yeah, make sure you guys join the Discord. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.